Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I hope you're keeping well and in good health at the start of this new year. And I wish you it. I think we can do it still. And I wish you a happy and productive new year. So the objective of this informal meeting today, that will last around 1 hour, is, as usual, to provide you with the most up-to-date info regarding the implementation of the Ocean Decade. And but the main objective is to present the Global Stakeholder Forum and the new website that were launched in November last year, and to go more deeply into the functionalities of the online platform, and more specifically the functionalities of the discussions group that are dedicated to the national decade committees and the regional task forces. So Ashley Aikins, our community manager, will step you through the user guide she has prepared. And we are really sorry we were not
Is it just mine, or has she cut out?
No, I think she
on how to promote your events on the website. And we will have 15 minutes for a Q&A session, and have some questions to Ashley and Amanda at the end of the presentation. So let's start, and I hope you can see my screen. I have, okay, great. Okay, can you see my screen, Ashley? Yeah, okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. So let's start with a brief update on the key developments of the Ocean Decade since our last meeting in October last year. The second call for decade action has been launched the 15th October and will be closed at the end of this month on the 21st January. And this second call for decade action has a primary focus on the programs that contribute to the Ocean Decade challenges 1, 2, and 5. So respectively, pollution, multiple stressors on ecosystems, and ocean climate nexus, as well as the projects that form part of one of the 23 endorsed program, decade endorsed program. So this second call is part of a series that will be launched every 6 months, and the next call for actions will be launched in spring 2022. The proposal of decade programs will be submitted to the newly established Decade Advisory Board for its consideration after a first technical review by the Decade Coordination Unit. And the Decade Advisory Board will elaborate recommendations on endorsement. It will meet in March. And the final decision will be taken by the IOC Executive Secretary. Since our last meeting, I was referring to the Decade Advisory Board. So this advisory group of 15 expert members have been established. You can find further information about the members of the board on the Ocean Decade website, and you can see the link on my screen. And these experts will serve in their individual capacity. And this is a diverse group drawn from government, the private sector, philanthropy, the civil society, and the scientific community, as well as representative of UN agencies. This group will, amongst other things, review and make recommendations. I mentioned that on the endorsement of the decade programs. They will also advise the IOC Executive Secretary on the scope of the calls for actions, and also review the regular resource needs assessment and recommends approaches for the resource mobilization. So now let's get back to the national decade committees. So as a reminder, to date, 24 national decade committees have been formally established and recognized, and more than 20 are in the process of being established to engage national stakeholders and facilitate national contributions to the decade, and also to promote awareness and raise interest. 7 regional task forces are doing the same at the regional level, and you can see these national decade committees and regional task forces on the screen. You can find further information on about the national decade committees and the regional task forces on the Ocean Decade website with the list of members and name of focal points. And we are still missing some information about some national decade committees. So my colleague Amanda and I will share in the upcoming weeks a template to enable you to prepare a short blurb on the activities of your committee, because we have this short blurb for some committees, but not all of them. And the objective is really to have the same information for every national decade committees. So what is the role of a national decade committee, and how you could use the Global Stakeholder Forum to support your activities and facilitate the convening of national stakeholders? So I will briefly present what you can do with the discussion groups dedicated to the national decade committees and with your responsibilities. And then I will give the floor to Ashley, who will provide you with further information about the Global Stakeholder Forum and these discussion groups. So we have created discussion groups which have the same functionalities that the Global Stakeholder Forum for every national decade committees and regional task forces. And for the national decade committees, we have established this group for the national decade committees that have been formally recognized. So I would like to remind you that we need to receive a formal email of the IOC National Focal Point informing us about the creation of the national decade committees to enable us to create this discussion group. So national decade committees play a critical role in supporting and contributing to the coordination of national stakeholders as they come together to co-design and co-deliver decade actions. And the Global Stakeholder Forum could facilitate this by enabling you as focal points to post and share national action plans, for example, or post and share the endorsed decade actions, which have a national institution identified as a lead partner. You can also use this discussion group to organize some meetings and webinars so that members can discuss and exchange ideas. And you can also, for example, maintain accessible database of decade partners within the country. National decade committees can also carry out national outreach and communication activities with broader audience and their stakeholders, national stakeholders. And you will have to decide, but I'm sure Ashley will talk about this, to decide whether you would like to have a public or a private access to these discussion groups. And that means enable the members of the national decade committees to access to this discussion group, or to have a broader audience and national stakeholders able to access to this discussion group. The two options are possible, but we cannot do both at the same time. And finally, the national decade committees are strongly encouraged to interact, collaborate, and exchange ideas and information with the other national decade committees operating in other countries, as well as the regional task forces. And we have created a dedicated discussion group where we can find all the national decade committees, and there we can share the list of members of the national decade committees. And this group can also be used, for example, to mentor committees operating in other countries with limited capacity, or to organize meetings with other national decade committees in the same region, for example, or on the specific topic. So I will stop here for this global overview, and now I'll give you the floor, Ashley. So Ashley is our community manager, and she has been recruited really to facilitate all things related to the Global Stakeholder Forum. So Ashley, the floor is yours.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi, everybody. So please feel free to reach out. I'll put my email in the chat, but reach out if you have any questions about the Global Stakeholder Forum after this meeting, and I'd be happy to help. I am based in Vancouver, Canada, so just keep that in mind if I don't respond during odd time zones for me. So I'll share my screen here. I think some of you have already registered for the Global Stakeholder Forum. Others maybe are registered and not activated, and some still need to register. So this might look a little foreign to you. I'm creating a user guide and a video tutorial over the next couple weeks. I'll send that out. And so that will be much more detailed if you have specific questions about certain menu items or how to share certain things. So I won't cover too much of that today because I really want to focus on the National Decade Committees and how to use the groups, but I will do a quick overview. So one of the main things to note is that you do have to be both registered and activated with a personal, well, it doesn't have to be a personal account, but an individual account, either your work or personal email, on the Global Stakeholder Forum. So once you register, I'll also put the link to the forum in the chat. Once you register, you'll receive an automated invitation from the forum, and you have to click that to confirm your email and activate, and then you can use the forum. And once you're here, then I'd recommend going up here to set up your profile. So you'll see the little triangle here, and you can, first of all, you can go to my settings and select your language. You can choose to see the forum by default in either English, Spanish, or French. But if you're posting on the live feed or the forums, the discussion board, you can post in any language. And then your profile, please make sure to update this. So you'll need to put a banner photo, a profile photo. This is obviously a bit different because this is our communications profile, but you can tell us about yourself, your skills, your institutional affiliation or employer, ocean basin, etc. Also, if you're involved in any events, it will automatically populate here so people can see what you're involved in regarding projects and programs and decade actions. I highly recommend filling out as much of this as possible because a big part of the Global Stakeholder Forum is searchability. So if you've put in certain skills or certain locations, then when people are notifying other members of the forum, you will probably be notified about something that is in your workplace. So there's the live feed, all of these different tabs that you can explore on your own. One that I'd like to bring your attention to is this little plus sign up here called share. And so this is one of the key ways to share any information of what's going on in your National Decade Committee and in your work. So this is just writing a post on the live feed. You can also share a trip or share your location. So if you're headed to a conference or doing some field work, you can post about that, and maybe other people will reach out who are actually on site. You can also share an opportunity. So this includes jobs, internships, volunteer opportunities. If you're looking for a collaborator for a certain project, all of these you can post here. And then you fill out the information that you know. Obviously, some of this you might not know, and that's fine. But the opportunities section is completely user managed. So we as IOC UNESCO post on it, as well as all users can post and share different opportunities that they have. You can also create events. So one note is that when you registered, the forum automatically registered your profile under the time zone your computer was in at that time, which for the most part will probably be your home time zone. But if you were traveling or something during the registration process, it might not be correct. So please email me if you think your time zone might be off, and I can adjust that. But when you create an event, you can choose which time zone the event is in, and then it will be shown in that time zone. And this will be advertised and publicized to everybody, both in the live feed and in the events section here. So you can search events around the world that are going on, upcoming and past events. If you're looking to connect with members, you can go to the directory here, and you can either search on the map and see where everybody is, or you can search by name, by keyword, or more filters. So if you're looking for people with a specific type of experience, for example, you can search there and put information in. This doesn't show all of the search abilities just because we have an admin version of the profile. And then you can also, if you have a particular people that you are corresponding with a lot or who are part of your National Decade Committees, you can favorite them. So you go to this little 3 triangle or 3 circles in the corner of their profile once you click their name. And you'll see that you can either go to their profile, send a message, or favorite them. And then you can see up in your profile section all of your favorites. Sorry, not there, right here. Favorite Ocean Decade community members. And so these are all the people you've either tagged or that you talk to quite a bit. So those are just a few ways to connect with people, to share. Before getting into groups, the other big thing, the core part of the Ocean Decade are the decade actions. So if you want to actually submit something for a decade action, you can go to the tab called Take Action, and there's 3 different ways. There's 3 different ways to submit. So these 2, it's not showing fully. Let's just refresh that. So there's 2 that are on a rolling basis year round. So there we go. So that includes one-off events, webinars, and conferences as a decade activity, as well as both financial and in-kind contributions. And then separate from that, there's also calls for decade actions that are focused on specific decade priorities or challenges, and they're released every 6 months. So we have one, as Julie was mentioning, that is finishing up in the next few days, and then we'll release another call for decade actions there. So that's an overview, but feel free to reach out if you need more specifics about any of these functions. So I'll take you over to groups. That's this button here, and that's where the National Decade Committees sit. So there's 3 types of groups. The cross-cutting themes are working groups about a specific topic. Most of these are public. Communities of practice are groups on a particular topic that are reserved for people who are involved in a specific endorsed decade action. And then finally, there are the National Decade Committees. There's also the global group that everybody can be part of, and currently it's private, but we can discuss the purpose and use of this and if that needs to be private or public. And then all of these are available to be used as groups for each National Decade Committee. Obviously, you can see all of them have 0 members and are not active yet. But as a member of the Global Stakeholder Forum, you'll see this. You can request to join, or you can go to group. So if I go to Angola's National Decade Committee group, this is what it looks like right now because it's not active, but you would see who's involved, who are the members, the photo of it, and then if you are part of it, you'll see all of the back end. So I'm going to take you to the back end of the groups right now. What needs to happen is each National Decade Committee needs to delegate a group admin. Only 1 person, but you can rotate if you want to rotate every quarter or every year. It can be a different person. just one person at a time. And that person is who administers the actual group itself. So if we go to the back end here, and we go to National Decade Committees, let's go to Angola here, and you'll see what you would have access to as the group admin. So you update the logo, the location, the banner photo, and then you can add a lot of information like the description of the group, different links, different contact people for various, if you want someone for strategy, someone for communications, etc., you can list them there. There's lots of information there. And then the most important thing to note are these tabs at the top. So some of them won't actually appear because I'm a global admin as opposed to a specific group admin, so there's more tabs. But you'll have member requests, and so you as group admin can either say yes or no to each member request. So this one has one, for example, right now. And you can click next and either accept or deny, approve or deny. I highly recommend, it's really important to do this individually, reading who each person is, especially for the National Decade Committees. It can't just be anybody who is part of these. There's specific lists. But this would be after you've already started. So when you get going, I would like to request that each National Decade Committee sends us a list of your core members. So that includes full name and email address. That's it. That's all we need. And then I can actually generate that and put those in here as your members, as the start of your membership. So you don't need to add those. And then you're up and running. But maybe you'll have people come and go as you go. And that's when you can use the member request one on your own. But definitely to get started, please send me the member list so that I can kind of fast track it for you. You can also use the media center here to post files, documents, formal policy strategies under the files section there. And then you also have your own forum section. So it'll look very similar to the overall one on the Global Stakeholder Forum, the discussion boards, but only your National Decade Committee can see it. So it's a private group where you can create different discussion threads according to your needs for the Decade Committee. And then you have a few others. You can have events. You can also have sub-projects. So it'll look very similar to, for example, if you go under Decade Actions and you click one of these, this is what the projects page looks like. So you can put information about the project, the members, the lead institutions, but you'll have this specific information only for your National Decade Committee under your sub-projects if you'd like to create that. So those are the main tabs, main functions that you can use the National Decade Committee for. So to reiterate, the main kind of bottleneck, the main needs that we need right now to launch all of these are, one, knowing who the group admin is for each National Decade Committee, and having a list of members, including their full name and contact information. We'll just email for each National Decade Committee. So I think that's it for now, but we can open it up to questions and answers at the end as well. So I'll pass it back to you, Julie.
Thank you, Ashley. That was very useful information. Just could you please let us know where would be the user guide and the tutorial video? They will be posted on the forum, where we will be able to find them when they will be ready.
Yeah, so we're not sure exactly where they'll live. They'll probably live under the resources page of the Global Stakeholder Forum, but I'll also post in the live feed and let everybody know when they're released. Also, that reminds me that I think, as you noticed, there were all of the committee groups say that they're private at the moment, but I've heard that some people might want a public group as well. So that's something that's open for discussion. That private is that it will only be viewed by members of the committee or members of the group. And then you still see the overall homepage as private, but you don't see all of the discussions and projects inside. Public is for any member of the Global Stakeholder Forum, which currently has about 2,500. And so there is a discussion where you could have both, if that would be helpful to you, to have a public group more for communications and outreach, and then a private group more for strategy and development. Yeah, so those are the keys. And also we have, we're just starting this out. It's the first couple of months, so there will be more functions as we go. So I'm very open to feedback, things that you feel like don't work, that are glitches that you would like more of, or a different function. Reach out to my email or post on the discussion thread that's on the main forum that asks for your feedback.
Okay, thank you, Ashe. So that will be very important to decide whether the National Decade Committee is as a private and a public discussion group, or only a private or a public discussion group, because we will have this discussion group with all the National Decade Committees, and we also have the information we can find on the Ocean Decade website about the National Decade Committees, and maybe that's a good transition to Amanda. So I would like to introduce Amanda Lima, who is our communication expert in charge of the Ocean Decade website. And maybe, Amanda, you can explain us how you can support the National Decade Committees with the promotion of their events. And we can say a word about the 2 pages dedicated to National Decade Committees and the regional task forces.
Sure. Thank you, Julie. So nice to meet you all. Very happy to be here. So as Julie already mentioned, we already have our page for the National Decade Committees on the website, and soon we'll be sending you all, I believe it's a spreadsheet with so I can upload the blurb for each National Decade Committee, because I know some of them are not, we just have the name of the person who is in charge of the committee. And also I would like to let you know that you can reach out to me for events, webinars, sorry for my voice today, events, webinars, and press release, things that you think are important to go out on social media. I'm really open to talking to you all about this. Okay, I don't know, I hope you all already know the page. I can show you guys here. Let me share. Can you see?
Not yet.
The page? Is it going, Ashley?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
So sorry. So cancel here. But anyway, I'm gonna send here on the chat the page and my email, so you all can get in touch with me and we can talk about your events, webinars, and things that will happen during 2022. Okay, so I'm very happy to be in touch with you all. I'll get back to you, Julie.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you very much to both of you. So now we can take a moment to answer any questions you might have regarding the Global Stakeholder Forum. Please raise your hand if you have any questions, and maybe I can start with the questions you sent us in the chat box. So I have questions from Kirsty. So thank you, Kirsty, for your question. This is a really good one. We have already sent such a list with members of our committee. Do we have to send it again? Yes, that's true that I received the list of members of the National Decade Committees, but to establish the group and activate the discussion group, we would need the email addresses of the members of the National Decade Committees. So sometimes I have only the name of the members, but not their email address. So if you don't, if you haven't shared with me the email address of your members, could you please share this list with the email address of your members? So that will enable us to create and activate this group. I think we have another question from Martin. Can we send group mail to this list or list for announcement? Maybe Martin, can you please explain what you mean?
Yeah, so I think what we're exploring is, you know, we already have set up a communication structure for our network, right? But it's kind of odd to do, so that means we have to maintain two types of systems, right? So what I'm trying to explore is, what are the functionalities of the stakeholder forum for the communication of national committees? And I just wanted to preface that. I mean, I wrote it before in the chat. As an example, we have core committee members, that's 11 of them. We have 4 of them, the executive group, and we have a network partners of about 50, right? So there's a 3-tiered system that we are already running with, right? And it seems that this system only knows 1 tier. So that means we cannot use it as our main communication tool, because we cannot, you know, there's certain things I do not want to send to everybody and other things I really do want to send to everybody. And that was why I thought this functionality would be great. But then if I can't stratify it, it'll be complicated. And that would forces our members to sign up both with us and with the stakeholder forums, right? So that's what I'm asking. It's just more a question of what is the current or envisioned capability of the stakeholder forum, because that would guide our decisions, how we're going to organize our own communication. And that was just a clarification question. I'm not demanding certain functionalities. I'm just exploring which ones you have in mind.
I'll answer that. So right now it is definitely, it's not tiered. It's whoever is a member of the group will receive anything within the membership, within the group announcements. You can notify specific people, which I can show you how to do. That they then receive an alert in their email, and they'll get an alert to your event or to your live feed, but everybody can see it. It's not private to the people who weren't notified, which leads me back to the idea of private versus public groups, where potentially there could be two different groups per National Decade Committee, one just for the you know, the core people and one for the larger membership, or creating sub-projects and discussing things within those sub-projects of the groups, where you could have the larger membership and then the 11 people and the 4 people in each of those sub-projects. But I can also, I'm meeting with Hivebright, who's the platform for this, next week, with a list of requests or glitches, that kind of thing. And I can ask if there is a possibility to add that function.
Yes, and thank you, Martin, because that's exactly the feedback we need to improve this platform and the functionalities of these discussion groups. So I have another question from Anime. Hello, Anime. Hi, thank you for the quick tutorial. Do such groups exist for regional task forces, or do we need to create this group ourselves? So yes, this group exists for the task forces. Maybe you can say a word, Ashley?
So, well, there's it exists for the National Decade Committees and then the Global Decade Committee group. But then there's, separate from that, there's only the COPs and the cross-cutting themes. So which ones are you thinking of, Julie?
We have this group for specific regions. For example, can you please?
Yeah. So that's under COPs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Under COPs.
So, yes. So if you go under here, I'll share my screen again. Okay. So if you go under communities of practice, Most are about a topic, but then there are, here I'll see all, there are several that are about and specifically focused on one ocean basin or region. And so that's where these would be the regional task force right here. So there's Southern Ocean, Arctic Ocean, etc. And so these haven't been launched or activated yet, but this would be the regional task force here.
Okay, thank you. The last question we have in the chat, but I think you already answered this one, but just to clarify, the question is from Elizabeth Hillman. Hello, Elizabeth. So your question was, can events, opportunities, and posts be limited to regions, countries, or should they be intended for a global audience?
That depends on if it's public or private. So if it's a public group, then everybody on the Global Stakeholder Forum can see it, and they can join as well. So then it would have to be much more of a global audience focus. If it's a private group, that would be more regional. It'd be people who already are aware of the context and the issues that are going on, and then you can talk specifically within that region. So I think there is a discussion there that we need to decide what the main focus is, or if you want both, if that would be helpful too.
Okay, thank you. I cannot see any other questions in the chat box.
Judy, can I ask
Martin,
another
you're
one?
raising your hand, please. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks. So actually another question that I have, for example, in the action part, one can also submit, let's say, a workshop or an event, right? Through the normal process, you fill out the form, it goes to the Paris group, and then you sort of get an okay or not. Will these events that come in through that system be automatically listed on the stakeholder forum?
Yes. So the events on the Global Stakeholder Forum are a combination of the Ocean Decade endorsed events, as well as any events that any member has posted. So you can either create an event on your own that will be posted immediately to the forum, or wait and if you want one that is a decade endorsed action event. And then that will also be posted to the forum. And then if it's under your National Decade Committee brand, that will automatically link to your group or your profile and say that these are the events you're involved in.
And how do I make that connection to quote my brand? That means if the supervisor of the Decade Committee puts it in, then it's branded, or how does that get branded?
So if it's an event that's hosted by the National Decade Committee, then you will be the host of that event and that will be featured. Or if Martin individually creates an event, then it will automatically go to your profile page as one of the events that you're hosting or involved in. So it's more who registers for the event.
Okay, and the difference would be if I somehow become a super user, I don't know how to do that. I mean, once I guess I figure out how to log in as a National Decade Committee member, and then my identity switches, right?
Yes, so I'll just share my screen again. So you can go here. So as just a individual person, you can create events under the share. Under the back office, there's this events button here. For the specific National Decade Committee, and then you can create a new event. And so that'll show up as an event specifically for that committee.
Okay, I think I got it, thanks.
And then this is where you can actually manage registration and participants and everything.
And will the viewers of these events know whether things are endorsed or not? Is that visible?
Yes, yeah. So, and actually if Amanda or Julie can step in for that. So for all programs and projects, they're showing up automatically once they're endorsed onto the Decade Actions page. Currently, I think events and activities are not, but that's been a question that's been posed. So Amanda, do you have?
Yes, actually, if you get your approval for a Decade activity, I would say if your activity is endorsed, I will upload on both. So you not only have it on Global Stakeholder Forum, but you also have on the Ocean Decade website the event. if you are endorsed. But if you do like by yourself, as Martin, you have on the Global Stakeholder Forum. That's okay, Martin.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just the functionality is fine. We'll see it how it goes in action, but I
yeah,
just
sure.
feel that's fine.
Yes, and the idea, Martins, would be if you want to inform the German stakeholders about the decade actions, which have a lead institution, a German lead institution, or not lead institution, but a German institution who is identified as a partner of a decade actions, and only for them to create this list on the discussion group. That's something you can do. Yes, instead of having all the decade action listed on the Ocean Decade website. So that's also an option to use this group to inform the German community.
I know what you're saying, Julie, but that is a real problem right now because it has a little bit unclear. I do run a global program for those that are just listening in, and I just don't know how I can register it with, let's say, the steering committee is like 12 people who are actually running it, right? It's not me, but right now it's affiliated to GEOMA in Germany, but that's a bit unfair. I'm standing for the group.
Okay.
So that means the US thinks it's not involved because it says GEOMA, right? But although there are some key actors from the US who are involved, so it'd be good if I could register it as, you know, with them. And I don't know exactly how that works because that is the question that the German committee has. We would actually like to know which German actors are involved in programs and projects, right? Not leading them. That's easy because it's only a few, but more who's in the steering group or whatever that structure is that they have. That will be extremely helpful. And maybe that can be done when they can register a few more people, but then you have to understand how you register people. Is it everybody who's interested in the program? Then that's interesting too. Or is it the ones who are kind of more formally involved with that? So that's what I'm asking about tiered approaches, right? In the searchability of that.
Yeah, so I think I would get back to you on this because I have to speak to Alison and Chloe, but I know that we are looking at a system to register the decade actions, a more sophisticated system that will enable us to share these decade actions with all the partners and see the names of all the partners. So far, we don't have these tools, but that's the objective for sure. So I will get back to you with more info. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was just for information. Thanks. Yeah.
I would like also to give you and to share this information with you. So far, we are, Ashley, Amanda, and myself, we are the administrators for these discussion groups. And ideally, that will be great that at one point, the focal point of the National Decade Committees or someone else from the National Decade Committee becomes the administrator for these groups and decide what information they would like to share and events they would like to post. So I know that's something we are working on, Ashley, but that's something we would like to do in the upcoming month too. So please let me know if you have identified someone who will be willing to be the administrator of these discussion groups for the National Decade Committee. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. I don't see any other hands. Okay, or questions in the chat. So the idea now will be that we will share this user manual and the tutorial video. And please do not hesitate to reach out to Ashley and myself and Amanda if you have any questions about the functionalities of these groups. please do share with us the email addresses of the members of the National Decade Committees to enable us to create this group. So at the beginning, when I talked with some of you, I told you that the members of the groups needed to register online to the Global Stakeholder Forum, but now we can do that ourselves. We will be able to do it. So please share with us the email address and we will do it. And the members of National Decade Committee will be automatically registered in the Global Stakeholder Forum on the platform. We will also share this template for you to be able to provide the latest information about the National Decade Committees to enable us to update the webpage on the Ocean Decade website. So we will share this maybe online. We will see if we maybe organize something with MailChimp or survey. We'll see. And I would like also to let you know that we will prepare an annual report for 2021. And as one of the responsibilities of the National Decade Committees, it will be great that we have a report, an annual report on the activities you have undertaken in 2021. And you will receive the template for this report in a circular letter that will be shared in the upcoming weeks by Julian, I think, or Alison. So we'll get back to you on this, but please be aware that we will need this report. And if you have any questions regarding this report, do not hesitate to reach out to us. So Ashley, Amanda, do you have any information you would like to share? Or
I'll add just two other quick points. So just to reiterate what you said about the about adding members ourselves. So that's when you send me the list, please make sure to include their first and last name and their email addresses. And then if they're already registered in the Global Stakeholder Forum, they'll just be added to the group. If they're not registered, they will receive a list asking them to register. It'll be an invitation, and that will automatically add them to the group once they register. So there will be, it will speed up the process for sure, but if people haven't already registered, they do need to find that link in their email and go through the registration process and fill out their profile. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, since this has been asked a couple times, is about notifying specific people. So I just wanted to show that. So if I share my screen again, it can be under your groups, events, it can be for opportunities, events, or just in the live feed itself. But if you're creating a post, for example, here's a button where you notify specific people. So this is when it comes in handy to have already had favorited certain people, because then maybe you always want to notify people in your National Decade Committee, and you click that and you can say select all and they're all there. You can notify up to 250 people per post or per event or opportunity. So you could continue, you can unselect them and choose something else. So let's say we want everybody in the Caribbean Sea. There's 62 users, and so you can say select all and they'll also be notified. And then you confirm your selection, and you can see here that this post or whatever else you're publicizing will be automatically alerted to 67 people. That doesn't mean that only those 67 people will see it. The rest will see it on the live feed, but they will actually receive a personalized alert to their emails. I think that's it for now of the things that I wanted to share.
Thank you, Ashley. Amanda, do you have anything else?
Yes, I would like just to, I share with you guys here in the chat our page on the website. So please, if you you have some updates, you can already send it to me, and please don't hesitate to talk to me about events, webinars, and reports that you think they're important to be on social media and to be shared with the other people. Okay, thank you.
And Martin has his hand up as well.
Sorry, as always, Martin. Actually, I have one more question. I've actually tried in my own profile on the Stakeholder Forum. I don't know why, but I don't have an ocean basin associated with it, and I cannot. It says only admin can change ocean basins, right? So I guess that's it. I guess I don't have an ocean basin. So I mean, so the first 4 items that let me change of my personal entry, and the other ones like programs I'm affiliated with, I cannot. Only admin can, and I guess I'm not admin when I'm logged in. So maybe you want to look into that a bit. Thanks.
Okay, that's helpful to know. That said, when you're updating your profile and you see things that may not that you want to add that only an admin can add, email me and I'll add them. So that's it's not an issue, but I will see if that can be publicly added.
Yeah, but that is an issue, right? I mean, I don't want to fix it for me now. I'm not worried about that. But I mean, the Stakeholder Forum, I'm not going to put my family to the Stakeholder Forum. If they get stuck in the first registration, they're going to never come back, right? I think we should try to make it very smooth and inviting, because you'll try once and then you give up and say, hey, you know what, the decade is not organized, and they walk away. I don't want to do that. I have some interested people, so we have to make sure it works smoothly, right? And then if they have to send an email to someone they don't know to get something fixed, we should avoid that. So I'm not worried about me right now, but I'm just giving you feedback as we are the road testers, right? Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Ashley and Amanda, and thank you to all for your feedback. I would like to tell you and share with you 2 important things before we leave. We will have a side event at the African Kickoff Conference of the decade that will promote the participation and the establishment of national decade committees in Africa. So I will get back to you on this, because the objective is to really encourage the establishment of these committees in Africa, and maybe we can have a presentation of one of the well-established national decade committees during this side events. So that's one thing. And the other thing is about this informal online group. If you have any needs or specific topic you would like to discuss in the upcoming month, please let me know, and we will organize a dedicated meetings for this topic. So thank you, everyone, and we will shortly get back to you with this manual and everything you need to use smoothly this discussion group and do the best of them.
Julie, just before finishing, there's two quick comments in the chat that I'm wondering if you could address. One is about the regional discussion of Africa, and the other is who to email for the administration.
Yes, so the regional discussion for Africa, I talk about it, that I was referring to this side event at the Kickoff Conference for Africa. And the last one, I would like to know the email to whom I must inform about the National Decade Committee's admin. So that's myself, and I will put my email address in the chat box here. So thank you very much for asking. So thank you to everyone, and we'll be in touch in the upcoming weeks about this Global Stakeholder Forum. Have a nice evening or day ahead of you. Martin, I see your hand. Again, have any
I'm just applauding.
question?
I'm just saying thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
okay, sorry, that was not okay. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, day, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.